One of the biggest struggles young men today have is with discipline. And it's not entirely their fault, because it's probably never been harder to be a disciplined person. There has never been more distractions, more unnecessary stimulation to pull you away from the tasks that you know you were meant to do. But I genuinely believe that for every man, the life that he deserves and desires is on the other end of a more disciplined way of being. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you a bit more about not only my personal story and journey with discipline, some of the things that I've learned along the way, but also why discipline is so crucial and how it will help you unlock everything that you want to achieve. Hello, my name is James, and I am on a mission to create a generation of gentlemen. The best way to think about discipline is this. If life is the sculpture, discipline is the hammer and chisel. Discipline is the tool that will give you the freedom to get the life that you want. As Jocko Willink said, discipline equals freedom. Yet the paradox is, discipline requires us doing things that we may feel resistant to doing, even though ultimately we want at least what they will get us, if not actually doing the task. Today, I pride myself on my levels of discipline, and I know that I wouldn't have got to where I am today, especially with social media, if it weren't for near OCD levels of discipline. However, it wasn't always this way for me. When I go back to the 18-year-old version of myself, gosh, I would spend probably until 1 or 2 in the afternoon in bed. I wouldn't make my bed. I'd maybe have a beer for breakfast now and then. I was a pretty average, chaotic college student. But when I came across Jordan Peterson and his 12 Rules for Life, which came out the very year I began my first year of college, I realized that there was an alternative way. And because I'd never really taken sports seriously, I didn't come from a military type of family, this level of discipline was something that was completely new to me. But the idea of abiding by rules and laws that I have clearly defined for myself definitely appealed to me, and I began making slow progress with my discipline. One thing that really helped me understand the power of discipline, however, was being a musician, because if you want to become good at a musical instrument, it requires the discipline to sit down for, gosh, I must have practiced about 6 to 8 hours a day at my peak as a guitar player. And even though I loved playing guitar, and most people who play guitar also love playing guitar, we all know that actually sitting down to practice, opening up the sheet music, playing scales for 30 minutes to an hour at a time, that requires an athletic level of discipline. And maybe if you've ever played sports at a serious level, whether just in school, in college, or in adult life, you will know that that discipline is required to achieve excellence in sport. But really, I like to think of anything you do in life as being an athletic pursuit of sorts. Whether you're an entrepreneur or an artist, treat yourself like an athlete. Everything you do during the day should be toward helping you achieve success in your chosen domain. So for example, with what I do, speaking, creating YouTube videos, sharing things that I think will help people, to become good at that, I need to make sure that my body and mind are sharp. I need to spend time researching things, reading, allowing my mind some time to stew over ideas and create new concepts. If I spent my free time doing things that took that energy away from me and didn't inspire me, I'd have nothing left to give you guys. Now, as I said at the start of this video, it's never been harder to be disciplined. And that's because there have never been more distractions. And the worst distraction of all is the thing that you're probably watching this video on, which is your phone. Maybe it seems hypocritical for a social media influencer to recommend staying off social media, but think of it like a drug dealer recommending you don't do drugs, okay? I don't get high off my own supply. Now, I think the kind of videos I make are low dopamine, they are more intellectual, they don't necessarily keep people hooked in doom scrolling. But as somebody who does social media for a living, I still spend vast durations of time with my phone turned completely off. And if you are struggling with discipline and you are spending too much time on the phone, which is probably the most common area of difficulty for people with discipline today, the phone, just turn that thing off. It's okay to turn your phone off. Turn it off for a few hours during the day. Turn it off before you go to sleep at night. Don't turn it back on until later that morning. It really is okay. The amount of time that you spend keeping it on just in case something happens is not worth the detriment to your mental health. And just in the same way that we protect our body by choosing not to take heroin, not to eat junk food all the time, we need to protect our mind. One of the best ways we can do that is by limiting our exposure to social media noise, our exposure to, I don't even know how to describe this kind of music, but generic, stupid, silly pop music, rap music, things that are just not good for our brains. Reduce your exposure to that. It doesn't do you any good at all. Today we have an excess of information, and I believe that actually most people, what they need is not to listen to another podcast. It's not to listen to another social media clip. It's to turn that all off and reflect on the things that are already within them. Give their mind the space to breathe. I find it funny that if you ask a lot of young men today what they want to do for a living, they'll tell you entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is like the new football player or the new race car driver or the new astronaut. Every young man wants to be an entrepreneur. Yet ironically, young men are the least disciplined generation of people we've ever had. And if you are not a disciplined person, do not become an entrepreneur. If you struggle to get to class on time, to get to work on time, to do your chores around the house, good luck putting in the hours that you need to make a successful business out of something when nobody else is telling you where to go, what to do, how long to do it for, and it's completely on you to hold yourself accountable. If you don't have the basics of discipline down, like making your bed in the morning, brushing your teeth, getting up at the same time every day, there is no way you're going to make a success of entrepreneurship. And I don't say that to be discouraging, I say that to be encouraging. Because if you can build the simple habits of discipline, then the future life that you will be able to build on those habits will be much, much better. And it's very important that you learn this now, because as life gets better and as you become more successful, the distractions, the things that you have to say no to, will only become bigger and better. To give you a very clear example, today is Memorial Day in the United States. It's a public holiday. As I look out of my window, I see people going by on yachts, on the river, in bikinis. I got invited to go on a sailing yacht this afternoon. I could be there drinking beers, sunbathing, with girls around, but I had to say no because I have to film this video. And if I don't film these videos, then I don't have a personal brand, I don't have a business. These are the kind of things that you have to say no to as life goes on. And I'm sure as my career keeps improving and I keep growing, the distractions will get bigger and better as well. But fundamentally, you have to understand, what is my purpose? What are the action steps I need to do today to fulfill that purpose? And everything else is ultimately a distraction, and only discipline will help you eliminate the distractions and focus on what's truly important. Now, to be disciplined, there must be an end goal in mind. To be disciplined for its own sake will simply fall apart, because that motivation won't last very long. You need to be disciplined with a specific goal that you are trying to attain. That goal could be a numerical amount, it could be a physical possession, it could be a lifestyle, it could be a feeling, it could even be a spiritual sense of enlightenment. Whatever your goal, that's fine, but you need to have a clear goal and vision that exists on the other side of a more disciplined version of you. Maybe you've seen people who go to the gym and they kind of half-arse it, maybe they do a little bit of uncoordinated bicep curls, they go on the treadmill for 10-20 minutes, they do a few sit-ups, they spend most of the time just on their phone. I always look at those people and I think they clearly don't have a vision for the physique or the body they are trying to build. And just as with fitness or with the gym, so it needs to be with your life. If you want to be waking up early in the morning, getting work done, staying focused, avoiding distractions, there must be a big why. What is your why at the end of that? And one of my whys is, well, first off, I find a huge amount of fulfillment just from what I do, and I know that people get positive things from these videos. But on a more selfish level, I want to have a big house with a nice family and a nice car and have freedom to be able to do what I want and go where I want and spend my time with the people I love. That's my big why. So that is why when the alarm goes off at 7 in the morning, maybe I've only had 4 or 5 hours sleep, maybe I would really like to just spend some time snoozing outdoors, maybe having a coffee, having a cigar. And I do those things here and there, but ultimately I always work when I told myself I would work. As I said at the start of this video, life is the sculpture. You can create the life and design whatever life you want, but you need that hammer and chisel of discipline. If this is something you're struggling with and you want my personal help, and you also want a small group of men that will keep you accountable and help you on your journey, if you're serious about this, there is a link in the description where you can actually book a call with me to discuss your discipline and other things that you're working on with me personally. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.